Hi, my name is Thomas Chanwith, and this is my video for the History of Identity class. Talking about identity and talking about free will and all of that stuff, fascinating. Um, I kind of felt maybe a confused mixture of the opinions that were being thrown out in this week. So, from the Prager University and from the School of Life. Um, I feel as though humans are our brains. And I know that the man from Prager University would disagree with me, but he's rude, so I don't pay attention. Feel as though like our brain controls a lot of our behavior. I know that he talked about the fact that he didn't think that our psychology could be explained through biology or physics or any of that stuff. And I thought that was interesting because in my psychology class, we're talking about biology and talking about how different parts of the brain affect your behavior and how different cells inside of the brain are incorporated into what you do. I think one example would be Phineas Gage. He was the man that got the pole through his skull, and he survived the incident, but parts of his brain had been um, let out during the incident, you could say. And because he was missing those parts of his brain, his behavior as a person drastically changed, so that he used to be very like maybe introverted and to himself. He was very nice, though. Afterwards, he was aggressive, he was vulgar, he would swear all the time, and was like combative with other people. And I feel as though that's a pretty good example of a long time ago, people starting to realize that our brain controls who we are and the behaviors that we have. The different parts of our brain, the frontal lobe, and all of the other lobes that I don't really remember right now, and how they control specific parts of our body and how we perceive the world. And that kind of led into the defeatism and the other one, and talking about how our environment, I feel as though our environment does play a pretty big part in who we are and the choices that we make. Um, but I do agree with the fact that we can't let it hold us back. Is I think that the article really nicely talked about how you need to find a good balance of um, realizing that you cannot change everything, and that if you do believe that, then you're just going to lead yourself up to bitterness and disappointment. Um, but also not let your own environmental factors inhibit who you can become. I thought that was, I agreed with that, and I thought that was really nicely done. But again, something from that article that I really liked was they talked about how there's situations that you're not going to be able to control in your life, but you can always choose your attitude and you can always change your attitude towards something. And I felt as though that was talking specifically about the brain, and I to kind of go between the two, the video and the article. Um, the man from Prager University felt as though if we are just our brains, and if we, then that makes us machines, and that we don't have any free will of our own. But I disagree with that, and I think as though we are our brain, and just as we are everything else in our body, it all makes up who we are. But I feel as though our brain is kind of like the central hub of everything, and it's where all of our thought process come from. Um, and so when we are deciding to change our attitude, like the article is talking about, for me, I feel as though that's our brain telling it, like saying, we can choose like how to react to a situation and what is better for ourselves. It is, I think it's a survival sort of thing, is that you can change your attitude in a situation to make yourself feel better or feel worse. And so I feel as though our brain is us and it controls a lot of who we are, but that does not mean that we're robots, and that does not mean that we just choose one thing. I don't know. I didn't really, um, maybe I just didn't understand what he was saying. I just felt as though he was kind of making a narrow-minded remark about that, if we are just our brains, then we are just robots. And I feel as though we are our brains, and that helps us become who we are.